The discovery. The Ziraxian mothership hung in Earth's orbit like a vast obsidian cathedral, its angular spires catching the light of the sun in flashes of blue and purple. Commander Alex Rivera watched it from the viewport of the International Space Station's diplomatic wing, a cup of cooling coffee forgotten in his hand. Still staring at it, Dr. Elena Kwan asked as she floated into the observation deck, "It's been 6 months. You'd think the novelty would wear off." Alex smiled without taking his eyes off the alien vessel. "It's not novelty. It's caution. You military tights," Elena sighed, pushing herself into a seated position on the adjacent wall. "The Ziraxians have shared more medical technology in half a year than we've developed in 50. The cancer treatments alone." "I know," Alex interrupted. "My sister's in remission because of them. But there's something off about them. The way they look at us sometimes, like we're fascinating specimens instead of diplomatic partners." Elena rolled her eyes. "That's just alien body language. You can't interpret their expressions with human instincts." Maybe she was right. The Ziraxians, with their tall, willowy frames and opalescent skin that shifted colors with their moods, were nothing like humans physically. Communication had been challenging at first, before their translation devices had been calibrated properly. Alex's comm unit beeped, interrupting his thoughts. "Commander Rivera, Ambassador Chen requests your presence for the send-off ceremony." "On my way," he replied, pushing away from the viewport. The diplomatic hall had been decorated with both Earth and Ziraxian symbols, a gesture of goodwill that had taken weeks to arrange properly. 30 children aged 10 to 12 stood in neat rows, their faces bright with excitement in their matching blue uniforms. The Young Ambassadors program had been the crown jewel of the diplomatic exchange. Human children selected from around the world to spend 3 months aboard the Ziraxian vessel, learning their advanced sciences. Alex's niece Sophia was among them, practically bouncing with excitement. She'd been selected for her exceptional aptitude in mathematics, a subject the Ziraxians particularly valued. Her parents, Alex's brother Michael and his wife, stood nearby, a mixture of pride and anxiety on their faces. Ambassador Chen was giving his speech, something flowery about bridging the gap between species and the children being the future. Alex tuned it out, watching the 7 Ziraxian representatives instead. Their skin pulsed with soft blues and greens, which the translation matrix had identified as positive emotions. But one of them, a junior science officer named Vexilar, displayed flickers of deep purple around his neck membranes. Alex had never seen that color on them before. After the ceremony, as the children said their goodbyes to their families, Alex approached Vexilar. "Officer Vexilar, I hope our young ambassadors will make us proud," he said casually. The alien's compound eyes fixed on him, the facets reflecting Alex's image back in miniature. "They are exceptional specimens. We anticipate productive outcomes." Something in the phrasing made Alex's skin crawl, but he maintained his diplomatic smile. "They're children, not specimens. Just make sure they call home regularly. Their parents will worry." "Of course, Commander." Communication protocols have been established. Vexilar's skin rippled with that strange purple again before settling into a neutral gray. As Alex watched the children board the shuttle that would take them to the Ziraxian ship, Sophia turned and gave him an enthusiastic wave. He waved back, forcing a smile, trying to ignore the knot of unease in his stomach. 2 weeks passed. The children's scheduled communications came regularly at first, excited messages about the wonders they were seeing, the amazing lessons they were learning. But by the 3rd week, the calls became shorter, more scripted. When Alex viewed Sophia's last message, something seemed wrong. Her eyes were different, slightly unfocused, with dark circles beneath them. She spoke in monotone about the fascinating science lessons, but never mentioned any fun or games with the other children. "She just looks tired," Michael told him when Alex voiced his concerns. "They're probably keeping them busy with all kinds of activities. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Alex, don't ruin it with your paranoia." But Alex couldn't shake his suspicions. He began spending his off-duty hours reviewing the logs of the children's communications, looking for patterns. In the fourth week, he noticed something. During Sophia's call, there was a reflection in her eyes, a reflection of what looked like monitoring equipment surrounding her. And when he zoomed in on her arms, there were faint marks that looked like injection sites. He took his concerns to Ambassador Chen, who dismissed them immediately. "Commander, these wild speculations are inappropriate. The Ziraxians have been nothing but benevolent. Perhaps you should take some leave. The stress of first contact has affected many of our staff." Frustrated but undeterred, Alex approached Dr. Kwan instead. She at least agreed to look at the footage. "Those do look like needle marks," she admitted after examining the enhanced images. "But they could be from vitamin shots or immunizations. The Ziraxian environment might require additional medical support for humans." "Then why wasn't that in the briefing materials for parents?" Alex demanded. "And look at her eyes. That's not normal fatigue. She looks sedated." Elena sighed. "What exactly are you suggesting, Alex?" "I don't know yet," he admitted. "But I need to find out what's really happening on that ship." That night, Alex used his security clearance to access the station's deep space monitoring equipment. It had been designed to track communications in the solar system, but he repurposed it to intercept transmissions between the Ziraxian ship and their home world. Most were encrypted beyond his ability to decode, but some contained embedded image and video files. What he found turned his blood to ice. The files showed sterile white rooms where children, human children, lay strapped to examination tables. Some had electrodes attached to their heads. Others were inside transparent chambers filled with colored gases. Researchers in protective gear moved around them, taking readings, making adjustments to equipment. One video showed a child, Alex couldn't tell who, screaming soundlessly as some kind of neural device was pressed against their temple. These weren't educational sessions. They were experiments. With shaking hands, Alex downloaded everything he could find. He needed more evidence, and he needed help. The Ziraxians had human collaborators. That much was clear from the diplomatic correspondence, but he had no way of knowing who to trust. Except perhaps for one alien who had shown signs of discomfort with the program. Getting a private meeting with Vexilar wasn't easy, but Alex managed to arrange it under the pretext of discussing a potential extension of the exchange program. They met in a small conference room on the neutral section of the station. The moment they were alone, Alex locked the door and turned to the alien. "I know what you're doing to the children." Vexilar's skin instantly paled to a sickly white, the color draining from his elongated features. "I do not understand." Alex showed him the footage. "Don't lie to me. These are experiments, not lessons. You're treating our children like lab rats." The alien's skin now pulsed with deep purple, the same color Alex had noticed before. "How did you access these files?" "That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're torturing children, human children." Vexilar's multiple fingers twitched nervously. The High Council believes that immature humans represent the best research subjects. Their neuroplasticity and developing immune systems provide valuable data that adult specimens cannot. They're not specimens. Alex slammed his fist on the table. They're children, with families who love them. The alien's head tilted in what seemed to be genuine confusion. "My species does not form attachments to our young. We produce thousands of offspring, and natural selection determines which survive to maturity. The concept of family, as you understand it, is foreign to us." Alex fought to control his rage. Is that supposed to justify experimenting on them, causing them pain? The High Council was told that humans would accept this arrangement for the technological benefits. Certain of your leaders agreed to the terms. "Which leaders?" Alex demanded. "Ambassador Chen, Director Masterson of your Global Science Initiative, others whose names I do not know." Vexilar's skin now showed patterns Alex had never seen, swirling combinations of purple and blue. "I have questioned the ethics of these studies, but my concerns were dismissed. Alex took a deep breath. "Help me," he said quietly. "Help me save the children." "If I do this, I betray my species," Vexillor replied. "If you don't, you betray something more important: basic decency. Even between different species, some things are universally wrong." For a long moment, Vexillor was silent, his compound eyes fixed on the images of suffering children. Finally, his skin settled into a steady, deep blue. "There is a way, but we must act quickly." With Vexillor's help, Alex gained access to the Ziraxian security feeds and communication systems. What they discovered was worse than he'd imagined. The experiments weren't just about physical responses. They were testing psychological breaking points, emotional resilience under stress, fear responses, and pain thresholds. Some of the children had been subjected to sleep deprivation for days. Others were exposed to hallucinogenic compounds that induced terror states. Sophia was in a section labeled Cognitive Enhancement Trials. They were testing some kind of neural stimulator on her brain, measuring how her mathematical abilities changed under different types of stress. "We need to get them out," Alex said, fury making his voice shake. "The mothership is heavily guarded," Vexillor warned. "A direct rescue attempt would fail." "Then we expose them," Alex decided. "We show Earth what's happening. Not just the diplomats who might be compromised, everyone." Using Vexillor's access codes, they prepared a data package containing all the evidence: the experiment footage, the medical logs, the communications between corrupt human officials, and the Ziraxian High Council. Alex added his own message, explaining what they'd discovered and identifying the human collaborators. "Once we transmit this, there's no going back," he told Vexillor. "My people, they won't respond well." The alien's skin had settled into a steady, resolute blue. "I understand, but I have watched your children suffer while my colleagues take notes. This must end." Alex activated the transmission, broadcasting directly to every major news outlet on Earth, bypassing diplomatic channels entirely. Within hours, the response began. On screens throughout the station, Alex watched as the footage spread across Earth. Parents collapsed in grief and horror as they recognized their children. Military commanders issued urgent orders, their faces hard with barely contained fury. Citizens gathered in streets, their collective anger building like a tsunami. Ambassador Chen stormed into the command center, his face contorted with rage. "What have you done?" he shouted at Alex. "Do you have any idea what you've triggered?" "I exposed the truth," Alex replied coldly. "You sold children, my niece, to aliens for experiments. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences?" Before Chen could respond, the communications officer turned to Alex, her face pale but determined. "Sir, we're receiving messages from Earth. Every major military power is mobilizing. They're sending everything. The Ziraxians are requesting an emergency meeting. They say it's all a misunderstanding." Alex looked at the screens showing the children suffering, then at Vexillor, whose skin now showed a pattern he recognized as fear. "Tell them we understand perfectly," Alex said. "And they're about to understand us too." Humanity's wrath. Admiral Helena Ortiz stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. Originally designed for deep space exploration, it had been hastily retrofitted with experimental weapons systems following the Ziraxian revelations. Behind her ship, a fleet of over 300 vessels from every nation on Earth had assembled in less than 48 hours, an unprecedented show of unity and force. "Status report," she ordered, her voice steady despite the rage that had kept her awake for the past 2 days. Her own grandson was among the children on the alien ship. "All systems operational, Admiral," her XO replied. "The fleet is in formation. Chinese, Russian, and EU forces are standing by for your command. The Indian and Brazilian contingents are in secondary position." Helena nodded, studying the tactical display. The Ziraxian mothership was massive, nearly 10 kilometers long, and their technology was far more advanced than humanity's. Under normal circumstances, this would be a suicide mission. But these were not normal circumstances. "Open a channel to Commander Rivera on the station," she ordered. Alex's face appeared on the main screen, tired but alert. "Admiral Ortiz, it's good to see you. You started this, Commander. Now we're here to finish it. What's the situation?" "The Ziraxians are panicking," Alex reported. "They didn't expect this level of response. Their High Council is demanding to speak with Earth's leaders, but they keep getting the same answer from every government: return our children or face extinction. Do you still have your inside contact?" Alex nodded. "Vexillor has provided us with schematics of the mothership and the locations where the children are being held. They're scattered across 6 different research sections. Each is heavily guarded." "We're not here to negotiate," Helena said firmly. "Operation Parental Fury commences in 30 minutes. Be ready, Commander." The communication ended, and Helena turned to address the bridge crew. "I know we're outmatched technologically. I know this could be the end of us. But those are our children on that ship, our future. And I would rather see humanity go down fighting than live as a species that abandoned its young." A chorus of affirmations answered her. There wasn't a person in the fleet who didn't understand what was at stake. On the diplomatic station, Alex prepared for his part of the mission. Vexillor had provided him with Ziraxian environmental suits, necessary for humans to survive aboard their ship for extended periods, and security override codes. A small team of Special Forces operatives had docked with the station 2 hours earlier, ready to infiltrate the mothership while the fleet engaged its defenses. "The suits will protect you from our atmosphere, which contains trace elements toxic to humans," Vexillor explained, his skin now a consistent deep blue that Alex had come to recognize as determination. "But they will only function for 6 hours before the filters are saturated." "That's enough time," Alex said, checking his weapons. He would be leading one of 3 insertion teams, each targeting different sections where children were held. "Commander," Vexillor said hesitantly, "I must warn you. My people have never experienced warfare as you understand it. We evolved as a hive-oriented species, with conflicts resolved through dominance displays rather than violence. The concept of sacrificing individuals for the group is alien to us." "What are you saying?" "I am saying that while our technology is superior, we do not understand how to fight as you do, especially not against an enemy driven by what you call parental instinct." Alex nodded grimly. "That's what we're counting on." Exactly 30 minutes later, Operation Parental Fury began. The human fleet launched a coordinated attack on the Ziraxian mothership from multiple vectors. The aliens responded with energy weapons that could slice through Earth's most advanced battleships with ease, but the sheer number of attacking vessels overwhelmed their targeting systems. While the battle raged in space, 3 stealth shuttles detached from the station, each carrying a team of operatives led by officers with children aboard the alien vessel. Alex's team included 6 Special Forces soldiers and Dr. Elena Kwan, who had insisted on coming to provide medical support for the children. Using Vexillor's codes, they bypassed the mothership's external sensors and docked at a maintenance airlock. As they entered the alien vessel, they encountered their first Ziraxian security team. The aliens were tall and physically stronger than humans, but they moved with confusion when faced with direct aggression. 2 were disabled before they could even raise their weapons. "They really don't understand warfare," Elena whispered as they moved through the eerily organic-looking corridors. "They're scientists, not soldiers." "That doesn't make what they did to the children any less evil," Alex replied. Following Vexillor's maps, they made their way toward Research Section C, where Sophia and 11 other children were being held. Twice more, they encountered Ziraxian security teams, and twice more the aliens failed to mount an effective defense. Their weapons were designed to incapacitate, not kill, another indication that lethal conflict was outside their experience. Meanwhile, in space, the human fleet was taking heavy losses but maintaining their assault. Admiral Ortiz had implemented a strategy based on unpredictability, constant course changes, seemingly suicidal attack runs, and sacrifice plays that allowed other ships to get close enough to the mothership to attach magnetic mines to its hull. The explosions weren't powerful enough to breach the alien armor, but they created sensor disruptions that bought time for the insertion teams. Back on the mothership, Alex's team reached Research Section C. What they found stopped them in their tracks. The 12 children were in transparent chambers, connected to machines that monitored their vital signs. Each child appeared to be in a different state of distress. Some trembling, others eerily still, their eyes open but vacant. "Oh my God," Alina breathed, rushing to the nearest control panel. They're running neurofeedback experiments, inducing fear responses and measuring the effects on brain chemistry. Alex found Sophia in the third chamber. She lay motionless, electrodes attached to her temples, her eyes half open but unseeing. A Zeraxian researcher stood beside her chamber, adjusting some kind of neural device. Without hesitation, Alex raised his weapon. "Step away from her." Now, the alien turned, its skin cycling rapidly through colors. First alarm, then confusion. "You cannot be here. This is a restricted research area." "That's my niece," Alex said, his voice deadly calm despite the fury boiling inside him. "And you're torturing her." "This is not torture," the Zeraxian replied, genuinely puzzled. "It is neurological mapping. The subject experiences only temporary discomfort." One of the Special Forces soldiers had to physically restrain Alex from shooting the alien on the spot. Instead, they secured the researcher and the 3 others they found in the lab. Belina worked frantically at the control panels, trying to safely disengage the children from the machines. "Their systems are keeping detailed records," she reported, her voice tight with controlled rage. "They've been systematically exposing the children to various fear stimuli, testing the limits of human stress responses. Some of these kids have been through the equivalent of psychological torture chambers." "Can you get them out safely?" Alex asked, standing beside Sophia's chamber, his hand pressed against the transparent surface. "Yes, but it will take time. Their brains have been artificially kept in high-stress states. We need to bring them down gradually or risk neurological damage." Alex checked the mission clock. "We have 3 hours before we need to evacuate. Make it happen." He contacted the other 2 insertion teams. They had reached their targets as well, finding similar horrors. In total, all 30 children had been located, alive but in various states of physical and psychological distress. Outside, the battle had taken an unexpected turn. The human fleet, despite heavy losses, had managed to inflict significant damage on the mothership, not through superior firepower, but through tactics the Zeraxians couldn't comprehend: sacrificial maneuvers, coordinated kamikaze runs by damaged vessels, and a willingness to die that baffled the alien defenders. On the bridge of the UES Vengeance, Admiral Ortiz received a direct communication request from the Zeraxian High Council. On screen appeared a being similar to the others, but with elaborate ornamental patterns on its skin. "This conflict is irrational," the alien stated. "You cannot prevail against our technology, yet you continue to sacrifice your vessels and crew. Explain." Helena leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. "We will sacrifice every ship, every soldier, and if necessary, every human on Earth to save our children. There is no cost too high." "This is not logical," the alien responded, its skin pulsing with patterns that the translation matrix identified as extreme confusion. "The subjects are merely immature specimens, replaceable through natural reproduction. Why risk your entire species for them?" "That's what you'll never understand," Helena replied. "Every human child is precious beyond measure, not for their utility or their potential, but for who they are. And there is nothing we won't do to protect them." "We did not anticipate this response," the Zeraxian admitted. "Our agreement with your representatives indicated that research access to juvenile humans was an acceptable exchange for our medical technology." Those representatives, Helena spat, will face justice for their betrayal. Now return our children, or we will tear your ship apart with our bare hands if necessary. Inside the mothership, Elena had succeeded in safely disconnecting 8 of the 12 children in their section. Sophia was among them, now conscious but groggy and confused as Alex held her. "Uncle Alex," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "I had bad dreams, so many bad dreams. It's over now," he promised, fighting back tears. "We're taking you home." Their comms crackled to life. "Commander Rivera, this is Admiral Ortiz. The Xeraxians are standing down. They've agreed to return the children and withdraw from Earth orbit. We're sending medical shuttles to your docking points." A wave of relief washed over Alex, but it was quickly tempered by the reality of what these children had endured. "Understood, Admiral. We'll need specialized psychiatric care units standing by. These kids have been through hell." As they prepared to evacuate, the mothership suddenly shuddered. Alarms blared, and the lighting shifted to a pulsing red. Alex's comm unit activated again, this time with Vexillar's voice. "Commander, you must leave immediately. The High Council has activated the ship's purge protocols. They're erasing all evidence of the experiments." "What does that mean?" Alex demanded, gathering Sophia in his arms while the soldiers helped the other children. "It means they're destroying the research sections. You have less than 20 minutes before the sections are jettisoned into space." They worked with frantic efficiency, evacuating the remaining children and making their way back to the airlock where their shuttle waited. The other insertion teams reported similar urgency, racing against time as the Xeraxians attempted to literally cut away the evidence of their atrocities. All 3 teams managed to reach their extraction points with minutes to spare, the children safely aboard medical shuttles that immediately headed for Earth. As Alex's shuttle pulled away from the mothership, he watched through the viewport as entire sections of the alien vessel detached, glowing hot as they began their descent into Earth's atmosphere where they would burn up, destroying all trace of what had happened inside. But it was too late for that. The evidence had already been broadcast worldwide. Humanity knew what the Xeraxians had done. In the aftermath, as the alien mothership retreated from Earth orbit under the watchful eyes of what remained of the human fleet, the true cost of the confrontation became clear. 17 Earth ships destroyed, over 800 crew members lost, but all 30 children recovered. 2 weeks later, Alex sat beside Sophia's hospital bed. She was recovering well physically, though the psychological healing would take much longer. The room was filled with drawings she had made, bright, colorful scenes of family and home, a therapeutic exercise to help process her trauma. "The Xeraxians sent another message," he told her, keeping his tone light. "They want to apologize." Sophia looked up from her drawing. "What did we say back?" "We told them they need to learn a lot more about humans before we talk again, starting with understanding why we care so much about our children." She nodded, returning to her artwork. "They were so confused, Uncle Alex. They kept asking why our parents would be sad if we got hurt. They really didn't understand." "No, they didn't," Alex agreed. "But I think they're starting to." In a secure facility halfway around the world, Vexillar, who had requested political asylum on Earth, was meeting with a human delegation. The alien had become an unexpected bridge between the species, trying to explain each to the other. "My people have never encountered a species like yours," he told the assembled human representatives, his skin shifting through thoughtful patterns of blue and green. "We evolved without parental bonds, without the concept of family as you understand it. The ferocity with which you protect your young, it terrified my people." "Good," said Admiral Ortiz, who led the delegation. "Let that be the first lesson they learn about humanity. We are not to be trifled with, especially when it comes to our children." "There is much our species could learn from each other," Vexillar suggested cautiously. "But it must be based on mutual respect and understanding, not deception." "Perhaps someday," Helena allowed, "but not until every child has recovered from what your people did to them. Not until justice has been served for those who betrayed us, both alien and human. As the delegation discussed potential paths forward, satellites in Earth orbit detected the activation of dormant defense systems that humanity hadn't even known existed. Automated platforms positioned throughout the solar system centuries earlier by forgotten civilizations. They powered up one by one, awakened by the battle energy signatures, their ancient targeting systems coming online as they registered Earth as a potential threat for the first time. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy not just as an intelligent species, but as a warrior species, one that would fight with unimaginable ferocity to protect its young. The message would spread far beyond the Ziraxians, reaching other civilizations that had been watching Earth from afar. They had touched human children. They had seen what terror really was, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.